Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day you find us. Welcome to an ultimate tier list for, well, the X-Men universe. With me today we have the always gorgeous and lovely Zamario, or Zam, or John
Hi,
Walker as he's calling himself these
I'm
days.
John Walker. Yeah, I should have renamed myself to John Walker. I forgot to do that. I am John Walker, Captain America, and you will feel my shield in your head.
And also join us is our American cousin from the great American Isle, Cousin Cheeto.
American Isle. It's just this small isle in the middle of the Atlantic and Pacific. I love it. I'm keeping it.
I love
Let's.
it. Keep it. We're keeping that.
But yes, today we're going to be doing a tier list for all the X Men films, starting with X Men, ending with New Mutants. So, gentlemen, I think that we should do the first one, which would be X Men, which, if I remember rightly, is 2002. If I'm,
2000.
was it 2000?
It
Okay,
was 2000.
yeah, X Men from 2000. So, with this, I'll start with the new John Walker himself, Zam. What do you think about the original X Men?
Well, one of the best things about this film was that it brought us it made Hugh Jackman a household name. He was already an actor before this film. He's done stuff before this film, but this put him in the spotlight. And this was the beginning of a character that would mark him for the rest of his life. Other than that, I other than that, Patrick Stewart was a shoe in. There's obviously Xavier. Ian McKellen was a great Magneto. Um, and Rebecca, I can never say her surname properly.
Romaine.
Romaine um, was a very good Mystique. I thought she was fantastic. I think she gets. I think people forget about how good she was as Mystique. We've got some introductions of new characters. I think Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, wasn't used well, and it wasn't used well for the rest of the series. Personally, they should have begun the Phoenix saga from this film, which they didn't, and it's a little bit run of the mill. Halle Berry, Storm, okay. I would like to have seen Ray Park come back more. He only played Toad in this film. I wish he survived his electrocution. I wanted to see more of him because it's fucking Ray Park, man. He's a cult status character actor. You know what I mean? Martial artist, all of that. But yeah, it's okay. Honestly, and even though it's an X-Men film, it's the first one. It's okay, and I'm being generous with that. If I had to put it in a tier, I'd put it as a generous school for gifted youngsters, possibly even Toad struck by lightning. But I put it as school for gifted youngsters. It's the first thing that got the ball rolling.
Okay, Cousin Cheeto, what do you think of X Men from 2000?
I mean, I mirror a lot of what Zam said. I mean, it made a good attempt. I mean, this was besides Blade. I know that kind of technically was our intro, but this
Granddaddy,
was
Blade's granddaddy.
yeah, Blade's a granddaddy. But X Men was, I feel, more mainstream, and so this was the first mainstream superhero movie that was honestly kind of like pretty like if you see anything besides Blade, like before Blade, nothing was authentic to the comic books, or it was too authentic and it just didn't work. So I mean, this was the first one that successfully merged reality and comic books. And I know everyone's like, oh, and they even made the comment in the movie, oh, Wolverine's like, oh, or he said, oh, these outfits, and he's like, oh, you want it to be yellow spandex, like they were right. Like the world was not ready for Hugh Jackman in yellow spandex. Maybe later on, in like yellow leather, but not like the not
Yeah,
back then. I mean, I think they made a good call making the outfits kind of the way they did, even though they were pretty
yeah,
boring. Um, yeah, I mean, I agree with the Ray Park thing. I really wish he would have stuck around. Kind of would have been Magneto's right hand man through the rest of the series. And the way they just dismissed him with Storm. Storm got the shaft. I feel like she had. I feel like they had some good intentions with her character, but I feel like I'm not a huge, and I haven't seen a lot of Halle Berry outside of these movies, and I haven't really seen her acting chops. But like, it might have been the writing, it might have been the directing, maybe. But I wasn't. This character was not right for Halle Berry. I feel like in a later film, Days of Future Past, I felt like she was even better. But that also was years and years later.
she wasn't
Um,
African enough. That she was too. she's supposed to be an African woman, and she felt very American.
Yeah,
You know what I
and that's
mean?
true too. I mean, we really needed a X-Men animated series style Storm, and we got a animated series light version of Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
because like it. Sorry.
oh no, you're fine. But I mean, I would agree with Zam. Very generous because it started it all. There was some really cool scenes in here. Hugh Jackman. I didn't like Rogue at all. I hated Rogue. Like the way I know it's more
Yeah,
accurate
yeah,
to the
I
comic
agree.
books, but I felt like the actress just wasn't. There was a lot of poor choices. There was a lot of fantastic choices on casting, and there were a lot of poor choices on casting, in my opinion.
A little bit
Cyclops,
of
Jean
Iceman as
Grey.
well. A little bit of Iceman as well, who lasted, for a while as well in this series.
Yeah, and I mean, but I would give it a generous, like Zam said, a school for gifted youngsters. So I know
Yeah.
I went on longer, but that's fine.
Bossman, what do you think?
Right. Sorry, Bobby didn't tell us what whereabouts on the list he's going to put it.
Yeah, I agreed with Zam. School for gifted youngsters.
Okay. I think that it's a really, really good film. I agree with you two, but I do think that there's fantastic choices in the acting. I think that Hugh Jackman crushes it as Wolverine. I think that Patrick Stewart
Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen are all great in their roles, but I do agree with you. There are some poor choices. I mean, like Anna Paquin is a good actress. Like if you watch her in True Blood, or you watch her in like really, really stuff like The Piano and stuff like that, she is really good. I just think that this role character has always been poorly written. She's always like this wide-eyed sort of teenager character, and like she's never been like that. She was basically in the thing that Magneto runs before she's joined the X-Men. So I wish that we got to see that more. And I agree with you about Storm that I wish Halle Berry was more African in that, because like literally before she comes to the X-Men, she's literally treated as a goddess by the African tribe she's in. So I'd rather have seen that. But overall, I think it's a good film. I think the plot is a little bit hackney of like I want to make everybody just like me. It's a little bit hackney, but overall, I agree with what you two say. It's good for gifted youngsters for me.
There was only one scene, like script-wise, which was pretty good, was when you found out that they were after Rogue and not Brute Wolverine. That was pretty cool, I thought. That was a good twist. Other than that, not much. But yeah,
I agree. That was a really great, because I didn't see it coming. I really did.
Yeah.
I really thought that the main character was Hugh Jackman, and the way they framed it all around Hugh Jackman and Wolverine and his healing factor was going to be another thing, because they were always talking about
he
Magneto.
wasn't a goody two shoes. He was morally grey, so
Yeah.
they could possibly get him to their side. So yeah, I saw it. Yeah, it was a good. Yeah. Anyway, so Bossman.
Yeah. So X-Men 2. I can't remember if this had like a little like thing beneath it, but I think it was like X2 and stuff like that. So-
X-Men X2 X-Men United or something like that.
Something silly, yeah. I can't
Yeah.
remember. I know what the said one's called. Anyway, I thought that this was the best X-Men film we got in this particular series, because what this dealt with was Wolverine's past and how secret it is, and like he goes to where he had his his skeleton taken out and him put his adamantium skeleton put back in. So I think that this dealt with a lot with that, and we got to understand the person who put that in was literally somebody who loves to experiment with mutants, because his son was son to Professor X back in
Oh
the
yeah,
day.
I remember Jason, wasn't he?
Yeah. I've got
Yeah.
to say that particular part, the last bit, is horrifying, because you've got to think about it. How would you like? I mean, literally, what Professor X does is he's very, but literally he's having his mind changed by this like little boy, and he's literally like I'd like and the fact is Brian Cox doing it. It's like who originally was Hannibal Lecter. He pulled out all the Hannibal Lecter vibes for this. It was an incredible performance. I mean, like whatever negatives you could throw at this, the one great is that Brian Cox is terrifying in it. And usually when it comes to what's the word with American grunts, no offense, because of Cheeto, usually they go into one or two, three caps. They're either really manic, really super serious, or they're really silly. well, this one was terrifying, and I think that he's up there with Full Metal Jacket and stuff like that. So that's my opinion. I'll go to Cousin Cheeto because I went to Zam last time.
I mean, oh yeah, Brian Cox, amazing. I loved him in this. But
Oh, sorry,
unfortunately,
I'll give it a good. I'll give it School of Gifted Youngsters because I don't think it's quite good enough for insects yet.
yeah.
Okay.
Go.
I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said. However, this is kind of the moment when I started to fall out of love with the X-Men franchise. There were some great moments in it. The White House scene in the beginning with Nightcrawler, fantastic. A lot of the Nightcrawler stuff was pretty good. Mystique, I thought she had some great moments in this, and also Magneto. But I mean, the Wolverine part of it, and Lady Deathstrike, and
Poorly, yeah.
yeah, I mean, the first half of this movie I was on board. Second half, not so much. I mean, as I said, Brian Cox was was amazing throughout this whole thing. It was a good idea for a part of a movie. I just feel like it was not executed as well as it could have. And this is the early days of comic book movies. They weren't. I honestly feel like Fox was not trying to take too many risks in this whole thing, because this is a movie they could have taken. Like X-Men 1 was well received, and it could have taken a big risk here, and it might have paid off. I don't know if the world was ready for that kind of comic book movie yet, but I mean, you've got characters, and I think the Brian Cox's son's character, Jason, isn't that like Mastermind from the comic books? Isn't he the guy that can like warp people's perspectives? And he was a part of the brother. He was a part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
He's definitely a comic book character, but it's such a long time ago. I forget, but I did know more about it back then, but I forget now.
So and actually, I loved this movie when it first came out, but that's back when we didn't have a lot. Going back and revisiting it, I revisited it a couple years ago when I kind of did an X-Men watch through. I did not like it nearly as much. I mean, they did improve on some things. They did tease the Phoenix saga and everything. I don't like the way they treat Cyclops. Cyclops is one of my favorite X-Men characters. I'm sorry. If you're going to treat him like shit, then I'm not going to really care. I'm not going to like, especially if you're building for Dark Phoenix. Like, you got to treat the character with respect if you're going to build the Dark Phoenix. And they didn't. They were building towards Jean and Wolverine. So I am going to personally give this a Toad Struck by Lightning. I mean, I would have probably years ago I would have gave this a School for Gifted Youngsters, but I'm going to give it Toad Struck by Lightning. So Zam, you're the tiebreaker.
Okay. I thought that this film was far better than the first. It's one of the few times where you can say a sequel is better than the original, and X-Men 2 was definitely better than the original in my opinion. There were some good moments regarding the action, because we got some slice and dice from Wolverine in this one. Yeah, he cut up some guards, which was absolutely beautiful, and we got to see him being part of more of the X-Men, leadership role, so to speak, looking after the kids and shit like that, which is pretty cool, and being a leader as well. He was no longer a nomad in this one. I didn't like the way they used, once again, Scott Summers as well. Like they benched him in this film too. They benched him in everything. He's one of the most top tier X-Men, and he's been so poorly used in this saga. It's a fucking disgrace. But they benched him again. They knocked him out. They put him under mind control and shit like that. Jean Grey becoming the Phoenix. I'll be honest with you, this was very exciting, knowing that this was going to happen. Unfortunately, the payoff wasn't that great. But at this particular moment, knowing that she was going to be the Phoenix, I was like, really, like, fucking hell, man, this is amazing. This is like Winter Soldier again. It's like they're really doing comic book shit here. They're not just getting a bunch of comic book characters and making a so-and-so. They're really doing some comic book shit here. They're trying to immerse comic book material into the films. I love it, into the saga of the movies. That was pretty cool. The Lady Death fight scene was great. I like the way she fucking died, which was horrific. But she herself was poorly used. She's a proper character, and they just used her for this. And Brian Cox as Stryker was excellent. It's a shame he wasn't in more, even though the character was in more films. It's a shame he wasn't. That's about it. I'll put it for School for Gifted Youngsters. I think there's more positive than negative for me in this film.
Okay, so School for Gifted Youngsters it is.
Okay, then we have the final of the original trilogy, shall we say, and this is X-Men 3, is it Last Stand? I think
Yeah.
that was so I'll let you go first, Cheeto.
Oh, again? Oh.
Well,
Um.
I went first last time, so it's only fair.
No, I went first last or in the
No,
last one.
Bossman went first.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Um. I absolutely hate this movie. I absolutely hate this movie with a bag of potato chips shoved up my ass with a brick. Um. There were so many problems with this movie, and I mean, I said I'm a Cyclops mark. There was a good movie in this movie. I liked the cure aspect, and they just should have really stuck to that. The Phoenix, they should have just kept Jean dead for this movie, and they should have gone with the cure route. They should have had more of Cyclops. Cyclops was gone, and like he literally had what 3 minutes screen time, something like that. Like he was fuck
Kiss
all
of
in the
death,
movie.
kiss of death, literally.
Yeah, I mean, they were pushing for Jean and Logan, and the whole time. Honestly, I feel like that if this movie would have been based around Scarlet Witch rather than Phoenix, like Scarlet Witch was kind of going haywire and like disintegrating, like all this stuff, because the Phoenix Force is not like a disintegration ray. The Phoenix Force is, it's an element of the universe, and I just feel like that they really missed the trick here. I feel like, honestly, if they would have just brought in a different actress and had it be based around Scarlet Witch and them trying to figure out what they're going to do with the most powerful mutant in the world, Scarlet Witch, a lot of this would have been better. They killed Xavier, fuck them, and then he put it in his twin. It's like, oh, for God's sake, and they didn't even pay that off later. I'll get to that in one of the following movies, but yeah, this movie, and I mean, there's so many issues. I could go on forever. The final fight scene between the Cure, like on Cure Island, I call it Cure Island. I don't remember what it's called, Warren Industries Island, whatever it is. I thought that was pretty cool. There were a couple moments in that, like, Magneto versus the X-Men type thing. I thought that was pretty cool, but that's it. That's really all I can say about it. The rest of it was utter shit. Juggernaut, no. I mean, they cured Mystique. Fuck. Like, I mean, they did so many terrible fucking things in this movie that I could go on for hours, and I'm not going to. So, next person, please.
What's your? I assume it's I'm the Juggernaut bitch.
That is the whole that is the whole reason why when you suggested that, boss man, I'm like, because that's where X3 is going, right there.
All right, so I'll do it. I'll turn it over to the great and powerful Zam.
Okay, I didn't hate this film as much as everyone else did, but I do understand their problems with this particular movie.
You better fucking hate it.
I think we forgot to mention Pyro in the second film because I did like his moment with Iceman in this film, and when you see him finally becoming Iceman later on, proper looking Iceman. I marked out for that. I did mark out for that. Was a pretty cool thing. This particular mutant being the cure was kind of the MacGuffin of the film. I really felt that this film didn't need that to make it. It felt like it needs. It doesn't need this sort of MacGuffin to continue. I really felt that is taking away from a story arc that should have continued from the second film, if you know what I mean. Also, what pisses me off about this entire trilogy is that instead of calling it X-Men, call it Wolverine and the fucking X-Men, because that's what it was, yeah? And more focus was being put on Wolverine and less on the X-Men, and it really pisses me off because this is a team, and it wasn't really much of a team when it came to the focus. Um, you, I love Vinnie Jones. Go on.
Oh, and also Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer was
Yeah.
amazing as Beast. I love him. Okay, keep going. That's
Kelsey Grammer is amazing as Beast. It's just a bit weird because the Beast I think of is a very philosophical guy who's very eloquent and talks like he's been born with a silver spoon in his ass, yeah. And it's just a bit weird that Nicholas Holt's character feels like a guy who's much more grounded, and it's very hard to imagine him ever being, even though he's an extremely intelligent person. I could never imagine him being this over philosophical smart ass who would talk to people like he swallowed a dictionary. It feels a bit weird. I mean,
Yeah.
let's hope I'm not. I'm sorry for going on a tangent there, but
That's
nevertheless, Kelsey Grammer was excellent as Beast. And I did like the ending with Jean Grey and Hugh Jackman. It made sense. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but she was vaporizing everyone. But because of his healing powers, he was able to come back,
Zam, you are a
and
son of a
that
bitch. I
did make
cannot
sense
believe
to
you
me,
actually like
to a
that part.
degree. But
I cannot believe you
I
like
didn't
that
like
part,
Jean
you
Grey's
son of a
Phoenix.
bitch. You
Jean Grey's
stop
Phoenix
it
in this
right now.
is fucking
Stop it.
awful. She's a fucking mute. I don't know what he's so pissed off about. But Jean Grey's Phoenix in this is fucking awful. And it finished on what I mean, even though there's more to come after this trilogy itself, it finished on a dour note. But seeing Magneto kind of move the fucking chess piece at the end gave you hope, I guess. That was the Superman moment at the end of fucking BVS. All right, I'm done. I'm gonna put this in Toad Struck by Lightning.
Okay, so it's for me to see what I think. I think, as much as I like the action sequences within this, the rest of the narrative parts of it suck, and they suck hard, because I think this was one of Ellen Page's like first roles. It was like this and High Candy.
Yeah, Kitty Pryde came out there, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh
She had some
yeah,
good
Kitty
moments.
Pryde. I totally forgot about her.
She was
Yeah,
really good in this.
yeah,
Really
yeah.
good.
But the thing is that the amount of good with it is offset by the amount of bad. I mean, like, I love Vinnie Jones. He's a great footballer, and he's usually pretty good in movies, but he was so miscast in this as a Juggernaut.
Yeah.
The Juggernaut, but it's like, no, the Juggernaut is not British. He's not Vinnie Jones. He's something
He's
else.
not even a
He's
mutant.
not even a mutant.
I don't, I don't, and then, like, it just takes away all the things that are cool about the Juggernaut. The fact that he has that helmet because because he's Xavier's brother and all this sort of stuff.
Well,
Or so,
he has
yeah,
the
or
helmet because it's a part of the whole Sidorak thing. But he also, I mean, it also protects him from psionic attacks.
Yeah, so Xavier can't get into his skull.
yeah, because he's Professor Xavier's brother. So none of that sort of like backstory is told to us. Yeah,
Well, they never made him. They never made him
and
the
the Dark
brother.
Phoenix story.
Yeah, no.
I mean, is terrible. I mean, it's done worse than this thing. But again, I have to judge it on its own. Then, to my money, this is I'm a Juggernaut bitch because I'm sorry. That line alone puts it in that tier. I'm sorry, it's terrible.
A couple of things, Bossman. They never made him the brother, and I actually forgot that this film fucking Xavier dies in this movie, as well, which was absolutely shocking.
That's where it
That came out
belongs, right there.
it came out of left field, but that fight scene between Wolverine and Juggernaut was awesome. I mean, that fight scene in that house and shit, it was brilliant. I did like that scene. It was one of the best action scenes in the entire series, in my opinion.
Okay.
Anyway.
So, with that said, we are now on to the standalone movies. We have the cinematic masterpiece, which is X-Men Origins Wolverine, and with that, we'll go to my good friend Zam for that.
Okay, I know this film is shit. I know it, yeah, but it's okay. It's like King Kong versus Godzilla. It's enjoyable shit. It's a throwaway popcorn film. Now, the problem is with the film that if you want to take it a little bit seriously, it is a part of the puzzle of an overall saga, and it needs to fit well to a degree. I don't know. It's like you got to see some characters. You got to see Will I Am. You got to see the Blob. You got an awful Deadpool from Ryan Reynolds in this. Absolutely one of the biggest disgraces. Now the whole thing with Sabretooth was interesting because you never got any vibes of them knowing each other, recognizing each other in X-Men. At all, which was a bit weird. So
That's
now
all that plastic surgery that he got after,
And he changed a lot, didn't he, old Levi Shriver? He changed a lot in X-Men.
Yeah, he
by
grew
that
out all
time.
that hair. He
ended up-
just didn't
he ended up-
recognize him.
became an American wrestler. It was weird, but he was one of the best parts in this film. Actually, I'll be honest with you. We got to see more of Stryker. We got to see more of the origins of him and stuff like that. It was really cool to see him get the adamantium in him. That was pretty cool. You know what I mean? And we got to see a bit with Scott Summers, a young Scott Summers. Obviously, he's blindfolded, so he never knew Wolverine saved him and shit like that. And then one of the plot holes or loopholes or fuck ups was Xavier still being telepathic, but being able to stand up while doing it, which obviously becomes an issue later on because it doesn't make sense and stuff like that. And he's got fucking hair, but the timeline does change. So yada, yada, yada. So people can go on about that. This is... Yeah, all right, fine. This is look. I like this film. Yeah, I'm a Juggernaut bitch.
Okay. All right. So with that, I suppose it falls to me to talk about it. This epic fail is what I'm going to call it. I mean, like the thing is that there's some actually good parts of this. You know, I like the design of the blob. You know, I can't remember the actor who played him, but like the fact that he's this really like in shit guy, and like because he went through depression issues and PTSD, he's ballooned up, and like he takes the slightest offense to what thing he says, which is just what like the Bob for the thing is. But yeah, Ryan Reynolds is terrible as Deadpool, considering how good he is as Deadpool later on. But yeah, he's so miscast in this, and I think it's so good that he got to play him later. And as I said, this movie is a disaster, and it ruined the franchise for a long, long time. I mean, it literally put it on ice. Number three was like the kick to the shins. This was the kick in the head. This was literally like knocking the franchise out. So it can go nowhere for me, but I'm a juggernaut bitch. So couldn't Cheeto round out this particular piece of cinema?
All right, so I actually enjoyed the first part of this movie. Like the beginning, I know that we got a terrible Ryan Reynolds, but actually we got a decent Ryan Reynolds in the beginning of the movie. Task Force X in the beginning of the movie doing their thing was kind of cool. I liked a lot. Yeah.
Just actually, the opening credits for this film is probably the best of all the opening credits of all the X-Men films, in my opinion. It is fucking fantastic. I forget how good that opening credits is.
And
Yeah,
that's one of the things I was gonna get to is like
sorry.
I honestly everything up through when he gets his adamantium is good. Everything after that, like after he gets his adamantium, it's kind of just garbage. Like it's just slashy slash garbage. Liv Schreiber, I love him as Sabretooth. I would have marked out so hard if he would have came back in Logan as old man Sabretooth. Even if he would have came back in another X-Men movie, just even reprising I loved it. I liked it's not Silver Sable. What's the girl? Is she Silver Sable? Maybe not.
The telepath who touches people.
Yeah, that
was his girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked her. I
She
thought
gets getting cut up in the sleep, man. Like shit. After a while, I'll be saying to him, "Listen, Wolves. You got to, after we finish fucking, you got to sleep on the floor." You know what I mean? There's only so many cuts I can take. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I mean, the first part of the first half, I would say I think it's like an hour. Because last time I watched this movie, I kind of looked and see where I start, and basically it's after after Wolverine escapes the facility, like everything after that I could do without, except for the Sabretooth and Wolverine moments, because honestly I do like those two. And obviously the mouthless Deadpool just. So I although it doesn't matter at this point because I'm outvoted, I would put it at Toad Struck by Lightning just because I enjoyed the beginning parts of this movie. And honestly, if I just stop it after Wolverine escapes the facility with his claws, I'm good. Like I turn it off and I'm good.
I'll go with Bob because I did say I did like this film. I can't put it in I'm a juggernaut bitch. I'm only doing that for the sake of other people hating it, come to think of it. I personally don't mind this film. I don't think it's great, but the action scenes are done right. It's okay. It goes along quite well.
Zam, there's no takebacks here.
No. We haven't put it in there yet, so I'll put it on Toad Struck by Lightning.
Okay, so then it's Toad Struck by Lightning.
Just that opening credits with all the time zones and shit, like different periods, it's fantastic. You know what I mean? I just loved it. That alone, it just puts it in there for me.